I raced my first Hyrox single men's pro in Auckland, New Zealand, and this video is a full and honest postmortem of how it went. So I'm breaking down where my race went sideways, what surprised me, and the assumptions I had going in that didn't hold up on the floor. So this is my Hyrox Experiment baseline, and let's go ahead and get started with what went sideways. So first, I showed up 30 minutes before the race time, which wasn't nearly enough time at all. The irony is that I met someone along the way who actually suggested that I show up an hour early, but I showed up 30 minutes and it just, like I mentioned, was not enough time to get set. When navigating the general check-in area, there was a person directing people to the correct check-in, and that person, once I told them why I was there, immediately told me that my race was actually tomorrow, which of course caused some panic and threw me into a situation where I started to just really have some anxiety because I had flown out there, trained, and now this person's telling me I'm there on the wrong day, and I was leaving that Monday. So luckily enough, I went to go actually check in. Everything worked out. In fact, I was racing that day, so all is well. The next is because I showed up 30 minutes before my race, I didn't have time to warm up, but I did stretch. I was actually hesitant about warming up because I didn't want to exert all my energy doing it, but it could have been a good opportunity for what I'm going to share next, which is I never actually tested the weight of anything once I was in the warm-up area. So I practiced with certain weights, but once again, a person who had done the races before suggested that I test the weight, and I did not. So I in reality, I had no idea how heavy anything actually felt. I ate too large of a meal before the race. So against my better judgment, I knew I shouldn't have done it. I thought to myself, have something small, have something light. But I went big and ended up having bangers and mash, which was just tasty, but not the best choice. I didn't practice the sled pull at all. So the gym that I attend does not have the ability to do that. So in theory, I knew how to do it because I'd watched someone on YouTube, but I hadn't actually done it. So that was quite difficult to wrap my head around when trying to pull this large weight that I hadn't pulled in prior practices. I also didn't have any fuel with me. So I didn't bring anything other than electrolytes that were back at the hotel, but I didn't have anything on my physical person. Now, although that was the case, the event did provide water stations and electrolytes. The electrolytes were provided by, I believe, Dr. Hydrate out of Australia, which at the end of the day, I was fine with what was provided, but probably could have had something on my person to keep moving because I did stop by that fuel station several times, and who knows how much time that actually cost me. I have no idea. I alluded to this earlier, but I did not practice with heavy enough weight for all of the stations. The highest on the kettlebells was, for fireman's carry, was about 50 pounds. I'm not sure what the kilograms are. And the sled push was definitely not 400, maybe like 300 pounds, something along those lines, so on and so forth. Once I got behind these, or carrying, or in front, or whatever you want to call it, I really felt the weight and the load of the equipment. Now, because I had eaten too large of a meal earlier, which I thought was plenty of time, I did it 2 hours in advance. I took a nap. I was well rested. About 2 minutes into the sled pull, I felt like I was going to throw up. I thought I was going to puke all over the place, to the point where I start looking around for somewhere to throw up. There is no clear place within, I don't know, a 30-second walk or run, except they did have chalk buckets. So that was an option. I ended up asking one of the people that were monitoring where I could throw up. He suggested one of the chalk buckets, but also mentioned, and I quote, "Surely you can hold it in," which I did. So no puking, didn't happen. I previously used Garmin Forerunner 165 for previous training, but the week before I left, I updated the software and it just stopped tracking my activity, like full on. And when it did track it, it was just like the steps were completely off. Let's say I did like 250 steps in a day when I'm clocking basically 15,000 steps a day, give or take. So it was just wildly off, very disappointing. I thought it might update before I was there, maybe even while I was there. It didn't happen. So I had no idea how I was performing. I had no idea how I was tracking. I didn't even bother wearing the watch. So next up is what surprised me. Now, what really threw me aback was the mass of the event, the size of it, the amount of people that were there. I didn't realize how large the floor would be, the floor plan. I didn't realize how many people would be watching and participating. And I certainly didn't know how loud it was going to be, which totally was welcomed. Loved the spectators, pumped me up, loved the music. I just didn't expect it. Even noticed some children there wearing headphones. Something else that really surprised me was just how difficult I perceived the sled push station to be while I was watching people do it. I was just like, it just looks massive, it looked heavy, and it was just something that dawned on me. Now, let's move on to my assumption. I thought because I run regularly and I take a HIIT class 5 days a week, that I would be fine. I've done some challenging races, have hit some elevation, typically trail runs, thought I was going to be cool, and that was not the case at all. The hard reality was that I was strong enough and in good enough shape that I could participate and finish the race, but not compete. So all said and done, it took me 2 hours and 9 minutes when I really originally wanted to finish in roughly 1 hour and 30 minutes. Knowing how long it would take me to run, I still thought that I had this opportunity to finish in this time. Now, the good news is this is my baseline, and now it's time to train and refine. So in my next video, I'll break down exactly how I trained. What you can expect is how I actually trained for Hyrox in the next video that I share. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming with me on this journey. I'm always excited to hear any comments, suggestions on how I could improve. Thanks.